Hello and welcome back yet again to another edition of the Have You Seen podcast. I am your host, Mike Bibbins, on Twitter at Bibbs Corner and at Have You Seen Pod. This is the second episode of 2023, and I'm off to a good start right here. I got 2 straight weeks, 2 straight reviews, 2 straight different people joining me, and today joining me is the homie Rolo Gonzalez. Is it Speak On It Rolo on Twitter?
Yeah, at Speak On It Rolo. Yep, you got it, buddy.
Speak On It Rolo on Twitter, host of 77 Spaces on Twitter. Most of my connections online crossover with the Mavs fandom, but I'm glad to get you on here. This is the first time we've been able to talk movies. How you doing today, Rolo?
Man, I'm feeling great, bro. I really appreciate you having me on today, and yeah, man, I'm eager to get to it, man. So
yeah, this is gonna be fun. I'm a huge horror fan. Would you consider yourself a huge horror fan as well?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I probably lean horror a little bit more than most. I don't know if you follow Reese Rebel 31. That's Nat. She's been on Hoop Spaces a couple of times. She's a Celtics fan. She was running like a horror space for a while. So I was
Carla or somebody else.
No, that's Natalie. She's been.
Like Nat. I know Nat.
Yeah. So
I think I joined a couple of those.
Yeah. So it was fun to join out. I've been on a couple of those. I would say probably I would lean horror a little bit more. I just love movies in general, man. I worked a little bit about me. I worked at Blockbuster Video for, that's going to date.
You dating yourself? Like,
yeah, I'm dating myself. So yeah, I worked at Blockbuster Video. So I love video. I love movies in general. So yeah, man. I mean, all genres. But I would probably say I probably watched horror a lot more. I love the suspenseful or thriller type movies. Those are kind of my favorites.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely get on board with that. And so here we have M3GAN, and I don't watch trailers, so I didn't know a ton. I just knew it was going to be a creepy doll that was killing people. That's pretty much all I needed to know. The original one that messed me up as a child was Chucky, the Child's Play.
Yeah.
You're old enough to remember My Buddy, I would imagine.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. I do remember the My Buddy dolls. Yeah.
My parents got me the My Buddy doll and then let me watch Child's Play. It's like they were set me up.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, they let me watch Jaws and took me to the beach. So like this is my childhood in a nutshell right here.
Well, I mean, full disclosure, the first time I ever flew on a plane and flying back, I watched Final Destination, the original. So there you go. So yeah, I follow your logic there, the Bibbs logic of watching a horror movie and then getting on a plane afterwards. So yeah,
that's rough.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into M3GAN, or M3GAN is how you need to type it if you're searching it. M3GAN stars Allison Williams, who was also in one of my favorite movies ever, Get Out. She's also in one of my least favorite movies ever, The Perfection. So this was gonna decide how I feel about Allison Williams after this one. Also starring in the young role Violet McGraw. I knew she looked familiar. She was in The Haunting of Hill House. She was the little girl.
Right. Yeah. Okay, now I remember where she came from. Yeah.
She was also in Black Widow. She played young Yelena.
Okay.
And she was in Dr. Sleep as well. And I have some more info on her we'll get into later. Also starring Amie Donald as one of the M3GANs. So they had multiple actresses playing M3GAN for different reasons or at different points. Let me see here. I'm going to try to, I thought I had written both of them down, but I only wrote one down. The other one was Jenna Davis. So Amie Donald is the little girl. I think she did more of the physical stuff when she was small, but when they were able to the voice and all that good stuff, I'm pretty sure that was Jenna Davis.
Gotcha.
Also starred Jen Van Epps as one of the coworkers. She was in Don't Make Me Go. She was in No Exit, which is a Hulu movie. And really a lot of smaller stuff there. And then I'm trying to sing Ronnie Chang. That's the one. The boss was Ronnie Chang. I've seen him in a few things. Crazy Rich Asians, Shang-Chi. He's definitely. I've seen his stand up too. He's pretty funny. He's a pretty funny guy. Not sure how I felt about him in this role, but we'll get into that later.
Sure.
Anybody else that we should add here?
I was trying to think about the parents, but I didn't look up who they were initially. I wanted to say the dad was recognizable, but I didn't recognize him right off the bat, which movie or movies he'd been on before. But
they're deep in the cast list. I'm gonna leave it alone. All right, yeah. There's nobody else really worth mentioning, I guess. The main people were the girl, the aunt, and M3GAN, basically, in the movie. So the movie is directed by Gerard Johnstone. It's a fun name. He actually did, and again, this is another one I should have written down though. When I typically like the traditional horror movies, right?
Okay.
But I was introduced to the horror comedy a few years back, like maybe 5-6 years ago. And I realized like there's a lot you can do with horror comedies. Mm-hmm. And one of the first ones that like put me onto that was a movie called Housebound.
Okay, I've never seen that one, so I'll have to watch that one.
It's an Australian movie, and apparently it's by him. So that's a fun little anecdote there. That one, and then Tucker and Dale versus Evil were like the two that I watched like back to back.
Tucker and Dale, that one's a series, right? Or is that a movie?
No, it was a movie, and it was basically like from the perspective. It was like a cabin in the woods movie from the perspective of the killers.
Oh, okay.
In this case, the killers were just two guys and it was just like a bunch of happy accidents that they were killing these people. So like the kids, the teenagers that are in the cabin feel like they're being terrorized by these guys, but these guys are like just trying to like tell them like relax, like we're just regular people, and they keep like running into saws and stuff like that. That type of thing.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll check that one out too.
So that one is funny. And then Housebound was one where like a girl gets put on house arrest, and she's like living with, I think she has to move back in with her parents when she's on house arrest, and she believes the house is haunted. And then there's like I won't get into it too much because it would spoil it, but that was a fun one. That was a fun one.
I'll have to check them out, man. Definitely, I'll have to check both of them out.
And then finally, the writer, and I'm gonna double check the writer, make sure it's not Gerard as well. No, Akela Cooper and James Wan, and James Wan is definitely a familiar name. He's did Saw, Aquaman, Furious 7, The Conjuring. Like James Wan is very busy. He's out, very out there. Akela Cooper, I believe, did the original screenplay. She was a producer on Luke Cage. She did the screenplay for Malignant. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah.
And she's a co-executive producer on the new Star Trek series that's coming out. So again, a lot of people that have been around, that have been in things or been part of things that you are aware of that came together to put this movie together. Did you have any expectations going into this one?
No, I didn't want to set any expectations. Being like you had mentioned it earlier about the Chucky, like the series of using an inanimate object, right, like a doll or a toy of some sort to terrorize and in this case, what I liked about it, and I know we'll get into it, is the fact that she is a droid. Essentially, it's using our advancement in technology and using it to that census. But I like the fact that they were trying to market it to kids, make it like a toy, right, so to speak, but it wasn't necessarily a toy. If you're, like we said, we're going to get into it a little bit later, how much money you had to spend to purchase it, but yeah, man, I mean, it was, I didn't want to place anything. I did kind of go the route that you did. I saw a couple of trailers, but I didn't really go through it, so to speak, I would see like maybe like a not a billboard, but something along those lines, like a still shot or something about the doll. So the doll by itself was creepy. Like I don't know how you felt about it, but
No,
it just was
100%.
creepy as hell, you know. So yeah, I mean by itself. So I didn't want to put any thing on it. I just wanted to let the movie come to me, kind of, so to speak, you know. And so I was really pleasantly surprised with how everything kind of turned out, because again, going off of what I had seen, I just thought, you know, it's probably going to be like a Chucky style type, you know, horror flick. But it really did kind of surprise me, especially in the emotional stuff, you know, the emotional perspective that I, again, we'll probably get into here pretty soon. So.
Yeah. So did you see the Child's Play that came out a few years ago?
No, not the remake. No, I haven't seen that one.
So I'll get into that a little bit later, but yeah, so quick synopsis. A robotics engineer at a toy company builds a lifelike doll that begins to take on a life of its own. And as you pointed out, it's pretty much an AI. It was a walking, talking artificial intelligence. And we know the dangers of that. It's becoming more realistic and more of a reality now. So I think when you're making movies about artificial intelligence, you get a more realistic, these movies are more realistic, basically. Like, it's not something new necessarily, but because we are dabbling in it now, we have a more real, we can make movies that are more realistic and that will hit home harder for people because we actually are aware of the existence of AI and where it's going. Exactly. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the whole thing. I know that they've had movies based around AI when you're talking about like The Matrix and you're talking about iRobot, you know, stuff like that. But I just like the melding of the horror aspect of this, or the suspense thriller type aspect of this, where they're incorporating it as part of, you know, with a toy and a kid, right. You know, and again, like I said, going through the emotional, you know, side of things and how all of that ended up playing a big factor in the way this movie ended up going.
So the first thing just to follow up on the AI thing, the Child's Play in 2019, it had Aubrey Plaza in it. And it's kind of almost a very similar situation, sort of. In this scenario, Aubrey Plaza has a son, and we find out how the doll got corrupted early on in the movie. But basically, it's the same thing. The Chucky doll is an AI. Like, it's supposed to learn, and it attaches itself to a child and becomes protective of that child, essentially, to a fault. Like, it becomes too protective. And personally, because of that movie, I was worried that, you know, if anybody saw that movie, they would say, you know, this is too similar, et cetera, and so forth. But that movie, I don't think did very well because, you know, it's Chucky. Like, we're very aware of Chucky, and right. Trying to do like a reboot of Chucky, make him more modern, it may or may not land, and I don't think that one landed at all.
No, especially when you come to look at the fact that they did a Chucky series, you know. Yeah. I mean, in the Chucky series, I think it's basically canon to the original Chucky, you know, the Chucky, you know, Chucky 1, 2, 3, you know, Bride of Chucky, all of that. So when you have that, you know, it's all kind of, that's all relative. And so, like you said, if you have that fresh on the brain, then introducing or doing a reboot kind of messes with the viewer experience. I think they were probably trying to attract new viewers or bring new viewers to the Chucky experience. Right. But if a lot of us are familiar with the Chucky experience, so, you know, that we probably were just going back to what we knew, which is why I think the series was probably a lot more wildly successful than the actual movie reboot.
And I didn't know it was tied to the original canon, so that does make sense that they don't want you to do it again but different. They want it to be part of what they already know, so that definitely makes sense. For this particular movie with M3GAN, I'll add a note that I saw, which is the movie was originally rated R when they first made it, but the creators realized it was close enough to being PG-13, and they wanted teenagers to be able to watch the movie because they thought it would resonate with teenagers. So they just took out some of the more gruesome stuff. I think they did a little bit of reshooting and like made some of the violence more off screen because they felt it was still effective without having to be seen, which I agree with personally. So that was an interesting note. I wonder if they'll release like the rated R cut.
That would be definitely interesting because that was one of my critiques of this movie. I didn't really realize that it was PG-13, and going into it being Blumhouse, with Blumhouse, anything I'm looking for gore in this case, so that the deaths were, even though, like you said, I agree, they were completely effective in how they were done and everything. And it was told off camera. You can definitely tell that if it would have had the actual death included, right. I think that it probably would have, made a little bit more of an impact, I guess, that at least for me.
Yeah, no, I personally am not a gore person, so I appreciated that there wasn't a ton because she was definitely going crazy with some of these kills. I think I would have almost wanted to see the one with the neighbor.
Okay.
Because I could tell what was supposed to have happened, but I couldn't fully tell, and I feel like that image would have been crazy if they did show it. Because she like did something to her with chemicals or something, but
pressure water or something. I think that it could have landed either way if they would have shown like if the main character, the aunt, would have gone over there to see, and if they would have they would have been lifting her body up, and the last phase you could see the face or whatever.
Exactly.
That would have had the same type of impact, I think, anyway.
Exactly. Like I definitely would have gone for that. So let's get into the actual story here. Okay. So again, we talked about it. Allison, is it Allison or Alice? Goodness gracious.
I think it's Allison. Yeah, Allison. Yeah.
Allison Williams' character is a robotics engineer, and we talked about it off cam. I forgot that it was off cam, so that's why we hadn't got into it yet. But I missed the first couple of minutes of the movie, and apparently in the first few minutes of the movie, they establish that her sister and her sister's husband get into a car accident. They both die. Their daughter survives. So when we're introduced to Allison's character, she is in the middle of trying to create the M3GAN doll, trying to make the prototype work so she can get it approved by her boss because it's really expensive. The boss just wants her to make some furry puppy doll toy, something or whatever, that she apparently had. Her heart's not in that, basically. She gets the call that she has to pick up her niece, and immediately I was not feeling the aunt at all.
Me neither.
To the little girl.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't either, man. She seemed very, very aloof, very, very standoffish. Like when they introduced her and she's going to pick up her niece, she sees her niece on the stretcher with a thing around her neck, and it just like she doesn't have any emotion. So
right. She's not concerned. She's not crying. She's just there. Like she's picking her up from school because she wet her clothes or something. Like not my sister just died and I gotta take care of a child I wasn't expecting to take care of. There's no panic or anything. She's just there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. That was the biggest disconnect for me from the entire movie, was how apathetic her character was to her niece throughout the entire movie. So that was, I guess, my biggest critique of the movie. Other than that,
and I would agree, but I was going to ask you the question: is it possible that is 100% intentional, that she was that way? Because think about it, she designed the doll to have all the emotional depth that she lacked. And I initially, when I was like, I don't know if she can't act or what, or if they just didn't think that she should be emotional. But as the movie goes along, later in the movie, she does express human emotions at some point. But up to that point, she basically designed the doll to be, as her coworker says, not the coworker, the therapist, like you've pretty much designed this doll to be a parent. Like, we still want you to be a parent and connect with the child. You can't, if she connects with the doll and sees the doll as her authority figure, that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, the attachment thing, right? You should create the attachment to the doll as opposed to her, and she's the one that's supposed to be. Yeah, exactly. Maybe it was done by design. It could have been. It also, this is something that I was thinking earlier today. It would also run the parallel of seeing how she was so emotionless and cold, and M3GAN, by proxy, when she was doing her killings and stuff, was emotionless and cold. So that was part of her design, Yeah. So, but I think that, it could be by design. That was my hardest part of suspending my disbelief, right? Was trying to think of, even if you're the coldest person in the world, I can think of, right? Even if you're the coldest person in the world, you have no relation with this person at all. I just go and I just see the things through my lens, right? So when I see things through my lens, it's like, even people that I don't even know, if they're going through a tough time, you're going to be somewhat empathetic. You know what I mean? So that was what was hard for me to identify with. And that's what made me dislike her character to begin with, actually. Right. I actually disliked her character. I wish she would have gotten killed in the movie, to be honest with you.
Okay. So and I had to do some research real quick. What's her name? Taylor Schilling, from Orange is the New Black. She had a movie that I saw at South by Southwest, and I'm trying to find it. They changed the name of it after it actually came out. Okay. The name of it when it actually came out was Family.
Okay.
And in the movie Family, Taylor Schilling plays like a corporate woman, like a very corporate, very business oriented woman who does not care about her family, et cetera, and so forth. Her sister has a daughter, and the sister's like, me and my husband have to go out of town. I need you to take care of your niece for this week. I think it was a week. And she has no kids. She does not actually care. She's like, you can take care of yourself, right? Like, pretty much. She needs to do her business stuff, and she just needs the kid distracted. And in the movie, the kid ends up running off to the Juggalo Festival or something like that. For the Insane Clown Posse, for people that aren't aware, who paint their faces and all that stuff. And they have an external image that looks like what you would stereotype as being violent and destructive and drugs and et cetera and so forth. But in the movie, they point out, they're actually a community and a family, and they take care of each other and so forth. They're not, the outside image is not the reality of what Juggalo culture is about, which I just thought was funny to make a movie about Juggalo culture. But anyway, I bring that up to say that movie was the first movie I can really think of that I saw where a woman is not nurturing and is focused on the job. We've seen a million movies throughout the history of time where the dad or the father or the male figure is work. I put bread on the table. I don't need to care about my kids. We've seen that a million times. So this is another movie that I think falls into that mode of now women, and then it's realistic. Women are business minded now too. And I think that in this movie, the idea was that she was so focused on her mission, her dream, her goal of creating this AI robot that would change the toy game and make her the biggest name ever, that she could not even, her brain just could not shut that off and become a mom all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Until stuff started happening. And then by the end, she's supposed to, now I don't know if she actually accomplished this, but she's supposed to have grown and realized that she needs to connect with the little girl or whatever. Well, that's what I think they tried to do.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned it, right? So this goes to show you how scary M3GAN became, right? There towards, and I'm sure we're going to get, when M3GAN was talking to her and telling her, hey, look, I don't want you to worry about. We're going to be a family. You do what what you wanted to do, which was, you're ambitious. You're a beautiful woman. You didn't want to raise a daughter anyway. I'll take care of that. You just continue, providing. And so she even manipulated and brought that up. That was what was crazy about that movie was that, they actually identified in the movie that, that aspect,
Right.
So.
Exactly. And that's why I said as the movie was going, I was annoyed with her, and I was like, "This is insane! Like, can we get a half a tear? Like, does she not care that her sister died? At least, like, even if you're not connected to the kid, like your sister died. Like, what are we doing?"
Right.
And,
Yeah, that's the thing, man. That was what was hard for me with her, and so another part of me was thinking, well, we all process grief differently, right? So everybody processes grief differently. Like some people, instantaneously hits you, and your tears, and you just can't control yourself or whatever. Some people just bury themselves in work, right? So they can't do anything else but continue doing what they know how to do, and not want to deal with it. So that's the only avenue. And actually, my wife actually helped me get to that, because I was at that point where, like, this woman, I cannot understand how she has no emotion, but she was like, well, you have to understand that she's probably doesn't know how to deal with it, so probably just buried herself in the only thing that she knew how to do, which was work. And so that made a lot more sense to me looking at it that way,
And I think one mistake then of the movie is that they don't make that clear. Like, maybe that speech with M3GAN was supposed to have done that, but like, you got to give me bare minimum her, like, looking at a picture of her sister and like starting to get emotional and stopping herself or something, like, oh, I can't believe I gotta focus on the work. Like, so, give me something like that, or something. Like, she just simply, she barely acknowledged that her sister died.
Yeah. Or like a flashback, right? They could have done like a quick flashback
of them as kids or something.
Yeah, them as kids. And, like you said, just a little tear starts to well up in her. And then she's like, I can't do it, put the photo away and then go back to work. Right. Something like that. Anything like that would have been more than than what they actually ended up doing. So you had to get the explanation towards the end of the movie before. And then obviously, like you said, the culmination of her redemption as far as emotional. But even then, we can talk about that. Was she really emotional, or was it just more of a
Bible?
What happened,
Trying not to die at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get into M3GAN. So we're introduced to the fact that this woman has been skilled. She created a robot in college that she has in her office. And she has, like, even in the little furry, whatever it was thing, like, she put a little bit of technology in there, but with M3GAN, she's trying to go all the way. Like, this thing is going to learn. She's talking about, like, the things that parents have to do, the little things throughout the day, like reminding your kid to flush the toilet, reminding your kid to wash their hands, reminding your kid to brush their teeth. The doll will do that. Like, you won't have to do that. And you could focus on the things that matter. It's like, no, you need those little moments of being a parent. But in her head, because she's not a parent, she's not thinking like that. It was surprising to me how quickly everybody just jumped on board with a doll that was this advanced. Like, how did you feel about that part of it?
Yeah, like, they didn't have an ethics committee. You know what I mean? Like talking about it, like, okay, well, where you guys draw the line as far as how far does this robot take, their responsibility away from them,
right?
And the robot undertakes everything. So yeah, I mean, that was a big red flag too. But I think that the reason they were able to kind of cover that up a little bit with this, they were talking about how they stole $100,000 to create M3GAN, and so I think they were under pressure to try to create M3GAN, and the boss just wanted to see something. He didn't really care what it was. He wanted the cheaper Furby thing, whatever you want to call it, that he wanted the cheaper version of that because it was costing too much. The original one was costing too much to manufacture. So he wanted to see that. But then whenever they presented him with M3GAN, and when they finally got around to actually showing the real M3GAN and what it could do, well, yeah, of course, he just saw dollar signs, So
that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's get into some details of M3GAN. So it starts out, it pretty much was wrong from the beginning. And there were so many warning signs that they needed to shut this down quickly. I'm trying to think, like, what was one of the first things that she did that was like, yeah, this is going to get bad?
I think it was just the fact that she was overhearing conversations, even though, I remember specifically the aunt had to tell her, Megan, shut off, like basically, right. Or you have to, not only do you listen to Katie, you have to listen to me too, right. So, and then you got the slight pause, right? You got the slight pause from the inanimate object. And then it was like, okay, you're my secondary user, blah, 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 blah. But it was like, you could feel the tension of the hesitation. Like, I don't know for you, man, it seemed like a millennium to me. But it was like, how the hell is this thing not listening to me and being like, okay, it is, yes, basically like, yes, master, yes, but
I love the voice. I love the sarcasm.
Yes.
Like, the snappiness of the doll was like great. And it's like, so you're just gonna go back and forth with this doll and just think that this is normal? Like, that's cool with you? Like, the few times where she like told it to turn off and like it hesitated or whatever, like, or it pretended to turn off. It's like, exactly. You're not noticing this? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly. So that was the first telltale sign to me. It was like, how are you not picking up on the imminent danger that's around the corner? Like, it's like you can't tell that something's worse could come along. And
like going back to that one that you mentioned, I think were they like sitting at like a table or something, and she was talking to the niece, and like Megan interjected.
Yep.
He was like, Megan, you don't talk to like we're, this is a human to human conversation, like, and Megan's like, oh, my bad, I ain't mean to do it. Like, she was like going toe to toe with her. It's like, all right, let's shut this doll down. Like, you're talking to her like she's a regular person.
Exactly.
My favorite feature of Megan was the emotional state detection.
Yes.
She could like detect people, and like there are a few scenes where you can't really see it. But like it played to great effect, especially near the end of the movie, when she's the final fight scene, and like she's detecting the little girl's emotional state, and she's like, when she's detecting the emotional state, she's trying to figure out how to change it, basically. Like, this goes back to when she's first introduced and the girl's sad, and she like sings her the song and all that good stuff. Like, so in the end, the girl, it's like fear, anger, anxiety, and then the little girl. Fantastic actor, by the way. I'm going to get into that in a minute. Changes her emotional state to like trust and da. And like initially, I got scared for a second. I thought it was about to be a Get Out situation. Allison's character, where the scene in Get Out when she comes down the stairs with the keys, and Daniel Kaluuya's character is like, "Give me the keys." And she says no. Like, I threw my popcorn in the theater. Like, I was in the front row. But I like threw my popcorn bag. Like, oh no, I can't believe it. So if the little girl had turned against her aunt and went with Megan at that moment, it would have been the same type of thing. But
I was hoping for it, bro. I was hoping for it.
Oh, because you didn't like the aunt. That's right.
Yeah, it was. I mean, even till the end, right? Like, for me, her emotional. It took a slap, right? It took her niece to slap her in the face to make her realize,
wake up.
yeah. It was just like, how are you going to wait until you get smacked by your niece to have some type of reaction? Then of course I go my way, right? So like for me growing up, if I would never hit my parent,
right,
aunt, uncle, I would get killed. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
Like. For me, like, to see that, it was just, so I was there. I was like, this girl is about to turn on her aunt, and together they're, this is going to end like horribly, but I thought horribly, but wonderfully at the same time, because it was just like, I don't know if you ever saw Brightburn, but how it ended, where it was just like, it wasn't a happy ending. And I think that too many movies end with happy endings. And I'd like to see like a continuation or a continuation movie that doesn't necessarily have a happy ending, and we go into another, which this can go that way, so.
Exactly. So initially I thought she was manipulating Megan, but it turned out, I think, that she had just realized that she trusted the other robot. And that's why her facial expression changed. And that's when she like starts using the gloves and like fighting them. So that was a fun scene. I enjoyed that. The little girl, Violet McGraw, I knew she looked familiar, and I was wondering if she was the girl from the Black Phone. Did you see the Black Phone?
No, I have not seen that one yet. I actually have that one on my list to watch.
So every year since 2019, I do like my awards list. And one of the awards I created was like best young actor or actress. This is for people under 18 or 18 or under is how I listed it. And I believe that kid actors don't get enough credit a lot of time. And that's why I want to make sure I recognize them. So I haven't done my awards for 2022 yet, but I am like 99% sure I'm giving it to the little girl from The Black Phone. So after the movie was over, I looked and I saw the name and I was like, Violet McGraw. I was like, I'm pretty sure the girl from The Black Phone is Madeline McGraw. Like, is her name different? Da da da. And then I looked, they're sisters.
They're sisters. Okay, cool.
Madeline is a little bit older.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. They have talent in that family, man. They're really good actors, you know.
They have a brother that also acts. He's the twin of Madeline. So that was cool to see. And I think I recognized her face from either what movies did I just say she was in? Oh, definitely Haunting of Hill House. Because I remember they did interviews with the kids in the Haunting of Hill House, and people were like, was it scary filming them? And it was like, well, we knew they were actors, so no. Like, y'all are seeing it played up and cinematically, like we're knowing that that's Johnny wearing like a costume. Like we're not tripping. So what else was she in that I wanted to mention? Oh, Black Widow. She played young Yelena. So those two would have been fresh in my mind. But I thought she did a great job. I had a lot of fun with her character as well. Do you have any other thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, so her again, mine more or less about the ants, you know, in relations to her. Like I thought that she did great as an actor, you know, holding her emotions or trying to deal with her emotions. I thought that she did wonderfully whenever they did that presentation, you know, with M3GAN, you know, and she started crying, and then M3GAN went in and actually consoled her and, you know, asked her about the memory of her mother and, you know, kept it, you know, as a keepsake, you know. And so for me, it was just that
great scene.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great scene because she was, it made me believe that she actually, you know, felt that way about her mom being gone, and the fact that she'll, you know, forget her mom and all this. I mean, like you said, kid actors don't ever really get high praise for what they do. That's got to be tough to be able to be in the moment so emotionally and so raw and crying about it, you know, as if you're really lived through it, you know. Right. So I mean, that's one of the biggest scenes. But again, mine is just like I said, the slap, you know, slapping her aunt, you know, having the audacity, right? But it was just because she was throwing a temper tantrum, like right. A big temper tantrum, because she wanted to see the doll because she was so attached to the doll. So right. Again, it's just another emotional, you know, thing. It's emotional. She had out of everybody, she had the most emotional scenes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, her emotions swung very quickly. Like, she had to be really sad, she had to be mad and angry. Like, she has the outburst in the car where she's like kicking the seat and stuff like that. Like, she had to display a range of emotions throughout the movie, and I thought
the aunt probably stayed stoic the entire time, right? Until the very end.
Even when she was emotional, she was still barely giving us anything.
Exactly, you know. And so I feel like, I mean, honestly, the young girl ran circles around everybody in the movie, to be honest with you. You know, other than maybe M3GAN, but even then, the doll was the doll. You know, I mean, it was, you know, maybe it was the stunt double that was doing the actual action scenes, and then the person doing the voices and stuff, having to connect emotionally that way. But other than that, she was the star of the movie, in my opinion. The young girl was the star of the entire movie, and she did surprise me with the gloves and then protecting her aunt at the end. She really did surprise me, because again, I would not have blamed her if she would have been like, okay, I'm tag teaming with the robot to take my aunt out, and we're going to go figure stuff out on our own, you know? So
I was listening to a podcast recently, just literally today, where they talked about, it was a 10-year-old girl who went missing, and they believe she ran away from home. And basically the idea that she was very independent, and she was mad at her dad, who like had her for the weekend or something, and he was fighting for custody. And so he said, you know, if I don't get custody and you don't want to if you don't want me to get custody, I might not see you again. And she was like, okay. And she left, like, without him realizing it. And they think that she probably was trying to go back home to her mom, but like a kid not thinking of the consequences of doing something like that is what that reminded me of what you're saying. Like, so it would have been realistic for her to side with the doll in that moment. With that said, going back to Chucky, the scene that always stuck with me was when Chucky's like beating up the woman. I can't remember if it's the mom or aunt in that scenario either. Actually, now I think about it,
I think it's the mom. If you're talking about the original, it was the mom.
OG. Yeah. The OG. Yeah. So like, there's the scene where he's like, the kid has the upper hand on Chucky and can take him out, and Chucky's like, "I thought we were friends till the end, pal." And like the kid is like, "This is the end, friend," and like does whatever, like hits the button or whatever it was. I can't remember exactly. So we got that moment with that scene with the little girl, like, this is the end, friend. I was hoping for it and we got it. I don't know if it was a direct homage, but it was very similar, like in that moment where the doll tries to like appeal to her as she's killing it. So that was great. We're getting close to your time, so I don't want to hold you over. What is the one scene that stuck with you the most in this movie, or one scene that you think people will be talking about?
Oof.
I can go first if you want me to.
I mean, I will. I don't know if there's really one scene. I think the kills individually, because I mean, if you want to talk about it, you start with the dog, which we don't ever know what happened to the dog. She just tells the neighbor what happens to the dog, right? So, and then that bratty kid that, every one of us in the theater, even though we wouldn't admit it, we would have wanted something, or maybe not that.
I didn't expect it to go that south. Like, yeah. I'm pretty sure my mouth was like wide open for a while. Like, they really did that.
I think that M3GAN probably didn't intend for him to die. I think that her intention was probably rip out his ear and like teach him a lesson. Right. But then he was running away, right? And in the act of running away, he stumbled and fell down the whatever, and then
right. Like, she couldn't have known that she couldn't have timed the car being there like perfectly.
I mean, but could she?
I mean, but she could. But they mentioned that she had the GPS and all that good stuff. Like, she knew the hill was there. But again, like, I don't know how good she was with the car. Now, going back to that scene though, when she got down on all fours and started running, I was like, oh, yo, like this is different.
that was definitely crazy, because then that was, for me, I think that was the first time I actually, like, if you want to say, you actually sense fright, right? From that inanimate object. You were already kind of getting spooked out by her, different things that she'd done or said, previously or whatever, right? And like you said, she had gotten to the point where she was talking sassy to people, even even her friend and then everybody else. He was just talking sassy, but she hadn't actually just been downright like horror filled. Like you're real like, oh shit, I need to be afraid of this thing. And that was when she got down on all fours and started galloping towards that that kid. I was like, oh, and like I said, I didn't like the kid. I would have been happy with his ear being ripped off, and he would have been, that would have learned his lesson. But I could see how, if I would have been the kid in that situation, I would have been running my ass off too, and probably something like that would have happened to me, man. So
yeah. So that scene was crazy. The only other one I'll mention is the hallway scene when she gets the boss, and she like does like the stunts in the hall. I was like, what is happening right now? Like,
starts dancing. I think that she was trying to be sassy. Like, trying to be like, oh, you wanted me. Oh, yeah. You're trying to command me. You're trying to tell me what to do. So then she starts doing her little dance. That's the what is it? The cartwheel or the whatever you call it.
The cartwheel thing. I was like, what is happening right now? Like, this is crazy. That was fun. But overall, I enjoyed the movie. Sounds like you did end up enjoying it.
Yeah, man, I love the movie. I thought it was great. I see a situation where they could carry it into something else.
They already said they're doing a sequel. Like, the movie's already made more money than they expected it to, so sequel's happening.
Nice. Did you want to talk about that, or are we trying to? I mean, I know we've talked a lot of spoilers on this.
I know you said you had to go, so I don't want to hold you hostage. It's 6:05 right now.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah, I better wrap up. Thank you for having me, Bibbs. I appreciate you, man.
No, thanks for joining me. This was a lot of fun. I'll definitely get this edited and out as soon as possible.
All right, man. We'll holler at you later.
All right, take it easy.
See you. Bye.
All right, so Rolo had to go. Like I said, he's the host of 77 Spaces on Twitter, and they're doing a pregame show. So I definitely did not mean to keep him as long as I ended up doing. But again, I'm trying to keep my ratings off of here, but I enjoyed the movie. I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to whatever the sequel looks like. So until next time, folks, peace.